Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. Today, I really want you to think of me as your senior career mentor because we are tackling a professional hurdle that literally every single one of us faces. Look, we all want our workdays to be this breezy sequence of easy wins, right? But then reality hits. Certain tasks pop up and just loom over our calendars like these massive dark clouds. They completely drain our spirit, they spike our anxiety, and we just absolutely dread them. But here's the hard truth. We cannot avoid them. What we can do, though, is learn exactly how to master them.
Okay, let's dive into this. Why is it that some tasks completely drain us before we even open the file or, walk into the meeting room? We call these negative energy tasks. And the secret to conquering them isn't about running away or just crossing your fingers and hoping someone else does it for you. It's actually about a highly strategic, totally methodical approach to managing your own internal energy reserves. Because once you understand how these tasks pull from your mental battery, you can fundamentally change how you experience them.
So here is our strategic blueprint for today. We are going to dissect this emotional problem logically, step by step. First, we'll recognize the drain, then we'll shift into an engineering mindset. From there, we'll map out pre-task accumulation and post-task rewards. And finally, we'll tie the whole shebang together under the concept of workplace maturity. Let's get into it.
Starting with Phase 1, recognize the drain. Now, the absolutely crucial point to understand here is that negative energy tasks aren't necessarily bad work, not at all. The real problem is that they ruthlessly challenge our psychological elasticity. They take our normal, baseline emotional state and just stretch it to the absolute breaking point. It takes a massive amount of internal bandwidth just to maintain your composure and actually get the job done.
To really see how this mental elasticity gets stretched, let's contrast two totally different types of these negative energy tasks. First up, think about an admonitory talk, like delivering really tough corrective feedback to a coworker. This is a high-stakes interpersonal game. It demands this massive expenditure of emotional and logical energy because you're trying to hold a firm line, but you're also managing the other person's resistance, their defense mechanisms, their emotions. It leaves you feeling completely hollowed out. Now flip to the opposite end of the spectrum, writing a massive report or doing system checks. These are highly repetitive, extremely low stimulation tasks, but they demand zero-error precision. There is zero adrenaline here. It's just the numbing, exhausting drain of intense, sustained focus. So whether it's an emotional drain or a precision drain, these different tasks empty our internal batteries in completely different ways.
Moving right along to Section 2, the engineering mindset. Because these tasks are reoccurring, necessary evils in any job, hoping they're just going to magically disappear from your plate is kind of a fool's errand. We have to fundamentally change our whole operational approach here. We need to stop viewing these tasks as personal punishments and start treating them like mechanical systems that we can actually manage.
This brilliantly illustrates the difference between an amateur's emotional brute force and a professional's strategic resource allocation. The amateur approach, it relies totally on raw emotion. It's just gritting your teeth, pushing the heavy boulder up the hill, and basically guaranteeing you're going to burn out. But an engineer doesn't use brute force. They build a pulley system. The engineering mindset treats these dreaded tasks like complex projects. You predict the friction before it even happens. You strategically allocate your psychological resources, and you actively design ways to reduce your own system loss. You're literally looking at the inputs and outputs of your own brain. You don't just do the hard work, you engineer your way right through it, making absolutely sure you have enough fuel to cross the finish line.
Which brings us to Section 3, pre-task accumulation. How do we actually allocate those mental resources? Well, the most immense danger in any workplace is starting a negative energy task when your battery is already flashing red. When you are depleted, mistakes aren't just possible, they are inevitable. And the cost of fixing those mistakes, it exponentially multiplies the energy you've already lost, locking you into this terrible, endless cycle of exhaustion.
Now, what's really interesting here is how forcing productivity when you are completely depleted actually accelerates the spread of negativity. Imagine walking into a tense admonitory talk when you're running on fumes. You risk losing emotional control, maybe taking things personally, and suddenly your logical arguments just evolve into chaotic, unhelpful fighting. Or imagine tackling that massive data report when you're anxious and exhausted. There's no way around it. It's going to be filled with errors, which means agonizing, time-consuming revisions the next day. You aren't just failing the task at hand. You are actively amplifying the negative energy around you. You are making your job and the jobs of everyone around you significantly harder.
To prevent that awful downward spiral, you need a strict pre-task accumulation sequence. Listen to your mentor on this one.
You never, ever walk into a workplace boss fight with 1% health. First things first, you have to get a full night's rest. You gotta start with a full tank. Second, right before the task, carve out some blank time. Pause all non-urgent communications, close those chat apps. Third, do some micro-recovery. Drink a coffee, step outside, take a deep breath, just reset. And finally, mentally rehearse. List out your key points and visualize the difficult scenarios playing out. When your mind is fully charged and your defenses are prepped, your emotions won't hijack the mission.
Okay, Phase 4, post-task rewards. We've talked about the prep, but the aftermath? That is where so many people fail. A super common amateur trap is surviving a grueling negative energy task, breathing a really quick sigh of relief, and then seamlessly jumping straight into the very next major fire on your to-do list. If you do that, you will slowly destroy your baseline resilience. Instead, you've got to build what's called a positive psychological loop. This is a highly effective mental mechanism where deliberate micro-rewards, taken immediately after a difficult task, actually help consolidate your emotional equilibrium. By consciously rewarding yourself, you are actively lowering your psychological resistance for the next time this ugly task rolls around. You are essentially tricking your brain into associating a highly negative drain with a guaranteed positive payout. It's the ultimate tool for rebuilding your depleted mental resources and making sure you don't completely burn out by Thursday afternoon. So, what do these rewards actually look like in the real world? It could be treating yourself to a really good meal or just walking down the block to grab your favorite milk tea. It could be taking a short, completely unplugged walk around the building. Sometimes it might just be sending yourself a quick mental message or writing in your notebook, "Man, that was brutal today, but I handled it." Or hey, if you're a manager, hold a relaxed, informal team chat after a stressful sprint just to let everyone decompress. I really want to emphasize this point. These are absolutely not mere indulgences. They are strategic, clinical necessities designed to make recurring draining tasks way less detestable over time.
And that brings us to Section 5, Workplace Maturity. This reframes our entire perspective and brings our engineering blueprint to its logical conclusion. The ultimate goal here isn't to magically eliminate negative energy from our jobs, because let's be real, that is a total fantasy. Our goal is to entirely restructure our relationship with it.
I want to leave you with this really powerful piece of wisdom straight from our source material. It says, negative energy tasks exist not to break you, but to test your psychological deployment capabilities. They exist to test you. Just let that sink in for a second. Everyone gets stressed out, everyone hates difficult conversations and tedious reports, but maintaining calm, structured professionalism in the face of anxiety-inducing situations, that isn't just a survival tactic, it is the absolute hallmark of true workplace maturity. It proves that you are no longer just reacting emotionally to the burdens of your job, you are engineering a sustainable, successful career.
So, the next time that uninvited guest arrives on your calendar, you know that dreaded, exhausting task that just makes you want to call in sick? How will you deploy your energy? Are you going to rely on raw, amateur emotion and just hope you survive it? Or will you engineer your success with strategic pre-accumulation and powerful post-task rewards? The choice is totally yours. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll see you next time.